Hey guys, it's Matt. Violet heads to Switzerland tomorrow for her assisted suicide on Friday. I asked her, would you like a video kind of for you? We have the smartest group of people here regarding understanding the spiritual nature of our existence. People like Michael have seen in some way the afterlife, as has Tony and others that are here. She said, yeah, I would like that very much. So, of course, she does not want just a bunch of well wishes. If you can contribute in the comments to what she might need to know, not knowing her background, we have been emailing for a month and a half. I produced a special video for her that will be shown after Friday to her friends and family, explaining us, the type of people we are, how misunderstood we are. And she has that video ready to go for her friends and family. In a recent email to me, she said, I die on Friday. And then we both agreed that this world uses that word in its own way, and we need a completely different word. Not to make ourselves feel better, but the other word, even to, I wake up on Friday. I wake up from the dream on Friday. The connotation or association that this reality is created with the word death, she typed me the email. What else is she supposed to say? We didn't have that other word agreed upon, and we still don't, and maybe that will be part of the comment section here. But we both agreed, yeah, that we need another word. The morbidity or the darkness that this world has put on that, using the word death and die, of course, is part of the trick. Now, of course, Violet doesn't want a video just for her. She wants one that benefits everyone. So the comments, unless you have something very specific, you have a very specific knowledge set about an after-death experience or crossing over what Violet will do on Friday, then of course, please share that. But in general, Violet would want this video to benefit all of us. Now, the nature of her situation, knowing the day, is terrifying to the human being. That's okay. It's natural. It's supposed to be terrifying. It would be terrifying to me if I knew the day and it was coming up shortly. But that being said, she's shown zero fear in her emails to me. Now, again, I can't imagine she has none. It's very natural and normal. That's part of this experience. But how she's kind of taking this has been amazing. She only got upset at me once, and I didn't realize the nature of her pain and her situation, where I said, because her emails are so normal to me, even though it takes her a long time sometimes to write them out, I said, it seemed to me the emails, because she doesn't complain about anything, that she's doing a little better. I said, are you going to postpone it? Are you thinking about pushing it back? In the email, there's no complaining whatsoever. She's like, are you kidding me? Look, I can't share any details about her medical situation, but at some point, the pain is such that, especially if you don't have a fear of death, even though I don't believe she carries any particular religion, if you don't have the fear of death and you are confident that existence continues, as almost everybody here is completely confident of that, then it's really like you're looking forward to the escape or what's next. She said certain things to me about having a large buffet, so to speak. I don't think she really expects turkey legs to be served on Friday in the afterlife, but things, say, in the last several months, she hasn't shared the details, but obviously have been so difficult. It's just the notion of, maybe one last buffet where I can hold some food down, things like that. Again, I don't think she expects that in the afterlife. It's just a way of saying something. So if you can help her out in the comments in any way, please do so. I know she'll expect the taste great, less filling debate. You'll get the run to the white light. You'll get the run from the white light. She understands it's going to be all over the board. It's okay. We'll try to. I'll give her my own thoughts on the matter towards the end of this video. As a prelude to that, just spend a minute on it now. Many of you will know that my advice on this matter would be simple. I always revert back to the simple, because this world tries very hard to make everything complicated. Rule of opposites. Therefore, it's simple. I don't think there will be tricks at death unless you expect that and you allow that and manifest that on yourself. Even if there is. See, it's very simple. We've beaten the trick here, right? All of us. We see through everything, right? Is there any news presentation you can't point at in 5 seconds and say, that's bullshit? Just see right through it. And your friend says, well, how do you know? Because I just know. I've seen the way this thing here works. We've beaten the trick here. Everybody agrees. So we're going to fall for it there? It just doesn't make any sense. If there is, we've beaten it here. And it's working so hard to get us into a certain frequency, vibration, mind-controlled, complete automaton, bow down before the system. And it's working so hard here because its trick is so perfect there. That's ridiculous to me. If it did have a trick there, it wouldn't be the end of existence. Just, like people say, it would be recycled back into a body, or you're not allowed to leave this reality system, whatever. If it did have a trick there and it was so great, well, why is it working so hard here? I've never had anybody dispel that notion. I've never had anybody say, Matt, that doesn't make any sense. I've had a lot of people say, Matt, that makes a lot of sense. But it's so simple. It's working like crazy here, and we've beaten it here. Okay, this could go on and on. There's nothing to worry about. You've done the work. You've seen through it. And yes, Violet certainly expects the comment, accept Jesus before Friday afternoon or morning. Like she had no idea that option was on the table. Like she's going to send me an emergency email. Matt, please read this before Friday. Who is this Jesus character, and should I take this into consideration? In big, bold font, it'll say to me in the first line, I never heard of this before. Matt, please comment quickly. Well, in that case, Violet, we just can't favor Jesus, his New Testament, in that version of Christianity. Jam in an entire course tomorrow or on Thursday. You have to do exploration of all religions. You can do it in a half day. I'm out on the internet now. Here's a course right here. It's perfect for you, Violet. Hinduism in 30 minutes or less. I'm going to send it to you right here. Here's one. Islam, all of Islam in 15 minutes or less. And Buddhism, understanding the nature of Buddhism and its 2,000-year history, 10 minutes or less while you brush your teeth? Holy heck, how much? $15 each. I'm paying. Violet, I got it. I'll pay for it. I'll send it to you now. Look, I don't think Violet, I think Violet's aware that the big religions are on the table. She never emailed me that she's associated with one of them. I'm not either. It's okay. We're going to continue this discussion, knowing those options are on the table, but likely will not be selected as an option before Friday. Well, Matt, aren't you being a little light considering Violet's situation? That's right. Yeah, I have no idea what she would want in a video. Right, I totally made a mistake. I have no idea what she would want to make. Let's go, Violet. We're gonna make. You know what? Why? First of all, she doesn't want that. Second of all, all of us are already dead anyway. From the perspective of anything not here, you go into this reality, you pop right out. From the perspective of anything waiting for you, your pet's waiting for you on the other side right now, we're all already dead. This whole thing, time, and it's all a trick of the senses. When I told Violet, hey, Friday is your day of awakening. We're not going to use that word death anymore. I'll look to your comments. We need a whole new word. And then I'm like, I'll see you 5 minutes after that. And that's even more. It's like, I'll see you 5 milliseconds after that. Only from our perspective here. Obviously, it's all perspective. We're basically already dead. It's okay. It's cool. It's all right. It's all right. My father had a very good friend, and we'll use these terms, that left this reality system about 10 years ago. Now, I remember my father 20 years ago having a conversation with me. His name was Russ. I've mentioned him a few times on this channel. Like, Russ, nothing seems to bother you. He owned these cheap-ass motels, and he would own lots and all this type of real estate around Pennsylvania. Not a slumlord, but that kind of. He said, well, this old motel just burned down, and nothing bothers you. And he said to my father, who still doesn't understand this message, he said, what's the difference? 5 years will turn to 10. Then I'll be in my early 80s. I'll be dead. I mean, it'll be so quick. What's left in life, Jim, he said to my father, is a blink. What's it matter to waste time on this? Now, he said that. He said all of life is a blink. Now, at that point, my dad knew, because of Russ's age, he has at least 10 years left. And this is now 20-some years since he said that to my father. He's been gone from this reality for 10 years. It went by quicker than a blink. I'm not trying to be morbid. So it's just the way this reality is. It does literally speed up for some of us. I don't think time is consistent creature to creature or entity to entity. It's okay. Take in the moment, the few we have left. I still like the other Tony's perspective on all of this. It's still what resonates the strongest with me, although I haven't heard from Tony in quite a while via email, where again, 30 seconds or less, we'll talk about it maybe a little bit later in detail, he said that you have a part of you that's not here. It's not just you. And you think it's all I am, your higher self or oversoul or whatever it is. Certain things do need to be accomplished in these reality systems by the aspect of it, like you, that are here. There are other simultaneously, either here or in other similar reality systems. It's not a trap, but certain things need to get done. So in this context, the old, oh, what about the light, Matt? Go into the white light or not go into the white light? It doesn't make any sense to me. In this context, that there's a part of me or higher self that's not here, well, it's ultimately in charge. Tony said it's in charge of everything. It's the power of it is beyond anything you can imagine. You've been governed down, reduced. You've been Forrest Gumped down into this. You can't even understand that aspect of yourself while you're here. That's okay. That's what this experience is supposed to be. But do you think it all narrows down to a dualistic choice? Go into the light or not go into the light? Yeah. So the dualism applies there. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, it's all dualistic bullshit here, and this reality system is fiddle and bends low. And it's going to be the same thing there. Come on, Matt. You got answer? White light, not white light. Come on, Matt. Give it. You got answer? Yeah, I got answer. It's ridiculous to me that all of existence comes down to a dualistic choice of what light or no light. Well, why do anything in life? All you got to do is pick the right Price is Right door at death. Why did you do anything in life at all? Oh, should I go into the light or not? Should I run from the light or just go rewatch Poltergeist a few times to figure out what to do? Come, my children, all are welcome. You said not to go into the light. You really think it comes down to that? So all of life was for nothing. All the experiences, you just have to just know what to do and how to navigate. Go get your Tibetan Book of the Dead. It'll tell you what to do at each light. When the blue lights come on the second day, and on the fourth day of Bardos, my true Tibetan monk gave to me. It tells you what to do each day of the Bardos and the lights. No, I'm going to go into death, and I'm sure Violet is thinking this is completely bullshit, and I've done enough. The frequency to carry forth is I've seen enough. I've done enough. I've beaten the trick. Every single copy of the Tibetan Book of the Dead at the local libraries within a surrounding 100-mile radius, I've stuffed with little index cards right after you open the first page, and it says the copyright and the trademark associated with the Tibetan Book of the Dead and the publishing house that made money on it. It says, if you read this, know it's total bullshit. Yeah, Matt, right. At some point, it seems you're a little delusional here. So thousands upon thousands of years of a certain tradition inside Buddhism related to the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And you're going to sit up here in some video and poo-poo it all, some of the greatest minds who ever lived. And you know what? I am and I'm not. I bet a lot of those people did go through the Bardos. You know why they did? Because they expected wholeheartedly to go through the Bardos. Do you understand where I'm going? As smart as they are, their whole life has been centered around over time, hundreds and hundreds of years going back, the immutable tenets of Buddhism, not to be questioned. If they go into death expecting the Bardos, guess what I think they're going to get? I think a belief system centered around the main pillar being that not only do you have a few more times to go through this, but to potentially thousands of more times to repeat in a body, and that's been just ingrained in people. And on top of that, they know they haven't done enough in life to avoid this thing they created on themselves called karma. Oh, have I been the Buddha in life? Oh yeah, they know deep down they haven't been the Buddha, as they got up from the you-know-what, and the next day they got an old Sears catalog and they had fun with themselves, and they know deep down they didn't live the life of the Buddha, so that they're going to bring that karma in on themselves. Why would I not think the notion that's beaten into billions over history of Buddhists that you're not just coming back once, you're coming back a whole lot more. Why would I not see or believe that that's part of the reality trick when everything here that comes from the screen is part of the reality trick, in my opinion? Why is the reality across the board, not just with religions, why is it out to trick a real person if that real person is not responsible for themselves, for their own experience at death? For what Tony talks about a lot. People, you have this religion, that. He said, you'll get it because you just brought it on yourself. Whatever you expect it, you will get until maybe 100 years or whatever that would be the equivalent of time goes by. And you might say, wait a second, this isn't the final layer. I put myself off into this is not the final. And then maybe we're at a certain layer of this fractal now. We need to progress up. The reality itself works to keep you stagnant or at the same level. And it doesn't mean, for lack of better words, the reality is evil because it works to do that. It works to do that. It's playing its role. Only those ready to move past certain reality systems are going to move past. In a way, its trick is necessary. The entire existence, call it God, source, creation, whatever, doesn't want souls moving on or actually going on the right path until they're actually ready for the right path. This makes sense, doesn't it? Maybe a bad example, but typically some kid in school can't leave the middle school to go to high school until they're actually ready for the high school. I don't think they hold them back anymore. In my day, they'd hold you back. If you couldn't do your Common Core, whatever, you'd have to repeat the second grade or third grade. I knew kids that did it. I don't think they can do that anymore. They just have to let you go on. But let's say in a normal world, you wouldn't be able to go to high school until you could basically do the basic math problems and be able to read a few sentences at least as presented in the middle school textbooks. Well, why would reality be any different? Look around at your friends and family. Would you say they're fooled to a degree? Yeah, they're fooled. They're fooled as shit. Not foolish. They're fooled, ED as shit. If their whole life they've been fooled, well, maybe they do need to repeat the grade. Maybe they do go through the Bardos. Maybe they are Saturn Moon Matrix and recycled. Maybe they have to think they have to make a light choice. If they've been fooled their entire lives, as above, so below, why wouldn't that carry into death? But for some of us, typically the people here, here's what carries into death. A frequency and resonance that's completely alien, 180 degrees than what's here. We've beaten the trick. We see through everything, and we couldn't possibly take another reality like this anymore. We take a frequency or vibration into death, the stuffed Lenin of what Tesla said. The entire universe boils down to frequency, resonance, vibration. Yeah, the entire universe, because for you are the universe. And so it doesn't exist without you. To me, that's what Tesla says, a stuffed Lenin or Humpty Dumpty, like I've said several times. What we take into death, I'm sure what Violet is taking to death, is I can't do this again, this fraud of this reality, this ridiculous nature it presents itself. We were to come back, we'd probably see through it as a baby and go, oh my gosh, it's another reality. It's another trick. It's another Al Gore. It's another George H.W. Bush, but this one's a little bit different. He has Cerberus hellhound dogs at his side. Another Barbara Streisand concert, but in this new reality, it's $18,000 for a ticket, not just $800. That greedy bastard who lived in Malibu Beach or whatever. We couldn't take another Kim Jong-un, but this one's even more pathetic. We couldn't take another reality system like that. That's what Violet is likely going to carry into her moment on Friday. Like, I've done enough. Get me out of here. One of the biggest traps that we can fall into listening and understanding of Violet's situation is to do what's very natural to do in this reality, that she's over there in her own predicament and we're over here, and oh, isn't it sad for her, and we're separate and isolated. No, the real notion is I didn't just say that to be funny. Violet, we'll see you 5 to 10 seconds later. After you go Friday, we'll see you 5 or 10 seconds later. That's literal, folks. I'm not just saying we're already dead from the perspective out of here. Just don't make the same mistake that most regular people would, that, oh, it's so tragic for Violet, but it's okay. Oh, I might have 15 or 20 some years left, and oh, it's tragic for her, but I'm okay. We are all in the same boat, folks. What did the princess say at the end of Braveheart? Whispered in, how ironic, just when Braveheart was being put to death, the king was also dying at the same time. A message there? Oh, you better believe it. She says, Death comes to us all, great king. Okay, we will be there seconds or instantly after Violet. We are all in the same boat here. I mean, anybody saying, "Oh, it's tragic for her," but that's the game that this reality plays. When I've said many times, people crying at a funeral, they're really crying in a way, and they don't even realize this deep down. I think in a way they're crying for themselves. They know deep down that they'll be in the same situation. They would never consciously be aware of this. They're not crying. In a way, they miss the person, okay, but they're also crying for themselves because most people desperately want to hold on to this reality. Those in the ship of fools don't see life the way we do. They want more drinks from Isaac. They want more fraud. They need the fraud. Jack Nicholson, you want me on that wall. You need me on that wall. They need the ship of fools. Therefore, why wouldn't the reality be set up so they don't go on to the next level? They're not ready. This might not seem like a big deal to you, but this notion or aspect of death is the most fascinating thing to me and the most difficult thing personally to me. It's how the world just moves on after something or someone has died. I even thought about this after Bootsy died. I mean, Bootsy, I'm not going to get the cat thing, but this was a real entity of some kind. But then, okay, she's dead. The world just goes on like Bootsy never existed. And this is very difficult for people. It's very natural to have that notion, very disturbing to people. It's the hardest thing for me, still trying to overcome that the world will just move on. Maybe some videos will remain somewhere, Matt, and your voice could be heard by somebody in the middle of the night. But, the world just moves on. It's very similar to, I hate to always put it into a movie, but this parallel is perfect. Jerry Maguire is that big scene. I'm leaving the company. I'm taking the fish with me. Does anybody want to come with me? Who wants to come with me? And Dorothy Boyd, thank you. Come with me. And the whole buzz of the office is quiet while he's giving his speech. It stays quiet for 1 second, and 1 second out the door, everybody just starts moving at the company as if he was never even there. And that is exactly this world. And it's one of the hardest things for me to overcome, that this world just moves on. And I've never thought it that much about myself, but I've seen even quote what this reality considers to be great men and great women. And the reality just moves on like they were completely unimportant. And for me personally, to get over that, and I'm getting over that, is the hardest part. There's certain things we need to do. One of my personal goals is to go into the moment of death not caring one bit that the world will move on without me. And I'm doing pretty well here. I still have some things to do. One of the main things we all have to do, or what are those things you need to do before you have what Violet is going to experience on Friday? From her emails, again, she is more altogether. She is, I can't, I would not be where she is. I mean, she's so cool, calm, and collected. No fear. It is incredible. Okay. I would not be where she is. I can tell you from all the emails I've gotten, it just, there's never a complaint. It's incredible. But, we're here to work, folks, to work. So we have exactly the right mindset, frequency, resonance, thought process going into the moment of death. You go in with karma, go in with regrets, going in with some of your Jacob Marley chains, attachments to the world, fear that the world will move on without you, then there could be the Bardos and there could be a recycle. The reality itself knows when real souls are ready. As Tony would say, the higher self knows, or in some way, when it's done with these sorts of materialistic games. It's done. It moves everything out. It's the simultaneous incarnation. It knows it's done enough. It moves on. Our job, in my opinion, I agree with what Tony said in this regard, to help the whole of us do whatever it needs to do to go to the highest level, or to at least leave this one. If anybody's new here, somebody might be wanting to say to me, Matt, all this talk, I mean, you're assuming you don't even mention that there's no possibility that there is an existence of some form after what they call death. You're not even mentioning the atheist position or the notion that existence could come to an end. There's no point in mentioning that we ever, no matter what your take is or even religion, you wouldn't be here. It's 100% certain that existence continues. The evidence in so many different areas is overwhelming. Just studying what this reality is all about, why the creeps play the trick, why it's after your energy. How could you possibly have the energy that it wants if you just came out of dirt or came from the Big Bang? I mean, it's not even worth talking about. We will ponder what existence is like after death or whatever, but there is no possibility that it's the atheist position. I sat here for a minute and I take it back. There are likely different types of, quote, people here, different types of entities. As I've said, the atheist position may be very real for the atheist. It may be very real for them if they are a role player here or a certain type of character. The atheist position could be very real for them. Okay, it is not one size glove fits all here, folks. I think one important point needs to be mentioned here so we don't go too far in one direction. I'm not saying you want to be hating the world going into the moment of death. Not at all. There's a difference between the natural world, what Tony called the game board here, and this thing that grows over it, driven by the parasite, the plumber's ass crack, with its minions like George H.W. Bush, and that it invades society and culture. There is an invader of sort, but it's playing a role. I could go into the moment of death like hating what this world has become for people, but certainly even appreciating more the natural world. Like I told you the other day, the tree hugging moments I have every day now, just stopping and looking at these berries on this holly tree. And then I don't like the words, but I say, shame on you, Matt. How many times have you walked by this and never noticed it? This is natural to grow closer to the natural world. You can absolutely love that part. That is the frequency that we want. It's very natural. It's not to hate everything about the world going into death. Absolutely not. You may disagree, but I see there's a clear line drawn here. I think aligning yourself with those tree-hugging moments helps you create the frequency or resonance that we're looking to achieve. And I sat here for a moment. I can hear some people yelling at me. No, Matt, for a spirit and soul or a higher self to be ready to move on, you need to reject everything of this world. Those little birdies you like so much, Matt, and you don't like the rooster down there. Oh, you don't like that shit, but you like your little berries and all this shit. That's part of the trick, Matt. You need to be ready to leave it all behind. I totally disagree. Why? Because I listen to my inner knowing. There's nothing evil. There's no Jacob Marley chain with me loving the natural world. In fact, it again assists my personal frequency. I don't buy that you have to hate all of this world. Absolutely not. I understand people might disagree. That's my take, and I don't think I'm ever going to change that, but I'll let you know if I do. Actually, one bit of fine print. Somebody can say, Matt, you need to be ready to leave it all behind. I agree. You need to be, even the parts you love, even the relationship with your cats or your berries on the holly bush moment, you could still love it, but you need to be ready to leave those experiences behind. Absolutely. Those experiences are probably confined or isolated to this type of material world or existence. And that's why I believe we're so sentimental towards them. That's why you have your little cry, tree-hugging, berries on the bush moment. Matt, did you get in bow down before the berries on the bush? No, but that's why you have these little moments. It's like because the sentimentality of knowing this is it, the end. We're not going to experience this again. We're not going to see these wonderful things again in the natural world. That's that sentimentality flowing that's saying, this truly is the last time I'll see this beautiful thing, because we're not coming back into these types of material environments again. That sentimentality is telling me, in my opinion, that this is the last time. I think it's very positive. Right up until the last moment, I can love those things about the natural world as long as I'm ready to leave it behind. See the difference? Somebody could still be yelling at me, Matt, that sentimentality is a Jacob Marley chain you better drop. Nope, I'm not dropping it. I think it's a very natural and wonderful thing. When we leave high school, that last day of graduation, well, it's a bad example. We don't give a shit about anything at that age. You don't look back at the high school and shed a little tear. Nobody cares about anything of that. But college, you grow up a bit. It's a little bit different. There's a little bit, some of us that I had a little sentimentality, looking back, turning around, saying, driving off campus for the last time, going to start my horrible job in Reading, Pennsylvania, silo, closing the damn electronics store at 9:30 or something, getting home at 10:30 and can't even go out with my friends because I'd be in the damn store the next morning to open the damn store. But so you look back at college and you kind of agree that you go, this is the end of an era in my life. And there is a little bit of sentimentality, but it's the sentimentality comes with the acceptance of time to move on. I don't believe in any way it's a Jacob Marley chain, and I'm going to be sentimental about the things I will miss, but I'm ready to move on. I'm not going to lie to myself. Oh, I'm not going to miss those berries on the tree. Oh, I'm not going to take that frequency into death. Bullshit. That's the sentimentality. What does your inner knowing tell you? It'll tell you the truth every time. It's not a Jacob Marley chain at all. It's very natural for somebody that's ready to move on. I've thought about this for years, and it's very hard to talk about, but I alluded to it at the end of the only fiction book that I ever wrote. Something along the lines of, if there is one key or one thing, if there is one thing outside of ourselves to get the higher self out of these reality systems, or to be done with it, or to be totally able to move on to the highest level, if there is a key that exists outside of ourselves, here's what I think it is. It's an acknowledgement from the people that are still back in the reality system. So we're going to do this for Violet. I would hope people would do it for me if something happens. Just saying, on Saturday, I'm going to say to myself, I hope you'll say it as well, Violet, there's no doubt you put a very positive overall impact on this world. You've done enough. It's like what I kind of say, well, to go on to the highest level, that, you've heard me say that sort of thing. It's like if there's one thing that might be like one missing piece, like an acknowledgement of the people that are still back in the reality system. It's like, okay, look, this guy Matt and these other acknowledged Violet, acknowledged she's done enough, acknowledged they wish her the best in terms of going on to the highest possible level of the fractal. She has that last piece. Okay, that's it. She's done. Do I think there's something outside of ourselves? Oh, I struggle with this. I would want to say no, and this is just some weird notion I have. But let's just put it like a safety valve, or let's just say a backup. It's like I got one donut for lunch, but in case I sit on it or I lose it on the subway, I got another donut. Let's just consider it as a backup. Who knows? But when something inside of me keeps talking to me, and it was, again, the only fiction book I ever wrote, it's the kind of the end of that book, it kind of works in, and I didn't know anything about reality as I do now. It's like just as a backup, we'll do this for Violet. I'll do it myself for her. Please do it for me. If something, Matt, if they find Matt washed up in the ocean or something, just be like, Matt brought a positive thing to this, an acknowledgement of some sort of the person via the living after they're already gone. And I'm not talking, obviously, I'm not talking about, I'm thinking about, all the Catholic funerals I've been to and the ceremony after. And, ooh, it feels kind of dark to me. It's like what I'm saying, an acknowledgement after, but, ooh, maybe to different aims. I don't know. I have to get my head around this. All I ask is we just, again, keep it simple. On Saturday, I'm going to say, Violet, there's no doubt. I will say it you don't have to say it out loud. I'll get with Zara. Here are my cats, Fifi, Addie, and I'll say, no doubt she brought a positive to this world, and we wish her the best and the highest possible level she can go to. I'm going to do it, and I hope you would do that for me, anybody that remembers after I come washed up on the beach someday. Well, Matt, is that necessary? No, I don't think so, but you know what? Why not, right? It's been, I've been kicking that around for a long time. And why not, right? It's backup. You never know. We don't have all the answers here. Maybe as, I don't know, a different type of entity or real spiritual being. Maybe we don't need it. Maybe other entities do. I don't. There's just a friend from high school named Chuck. Okay, this isn't. I don't know if this example relates, but I'm gonna close with this. The skies are ominous. I'm gonna load the video. This type of video, the gremlins will come. My internet. I need to get this loaded. There's a big storm coming. And Chuck, we weren't close, but he was like a larger than life individual in my high school. Had some trouble. Was kind of a bad kid for a while, and got thrown out here, but he always was the center of attention, and he just brought joy, even though he could be kind of tough. He was like a gigantic light or glow around him. I don't know. He was always the center of attention, and he was a larger than life figure. We'll just leave it at that. And I think he had an issue and has been gone for even though he's in my high school class, been gone for many years now. And I'll just, for some reason, want to say it out loud, like Chuck, and I'll say the last name. I'll say you were a real positive entity while you existed here. You were a real, I don't know, just an acknowledgement. Or I'll say somebody's name out loud and when I remember them. It's like there's some reason, an acknowledgement of the living, at least for a certain type of entity, I don't know, helps the dead. Obviously I have a ways to go in terms of me further grasping what I'm even trying to get out here, but it was so important regarding, Violet's traveling to Switzerland tomorrow. It had to be said. So either way, Violet, I'm going to do it. I'm sure there's people listening to me that are going to do it. So we got you covered. We got you covered there, and you've got yourself covered and everywhere else. So I'm going to get this loaded. Violet, I will, obviously I'll be on email if I don't respond to your email immediately. It's this weird storm coming in and more, it's not a big snowstorm this time. They say it's going to be nasty with up to 60-mile-an-hour winds. Matt, you know how they fool you on the way. I know it won't be as bad as they say. I'm going to get this loaded. If I don't reply back to your email, Violet, or whatever you need, it's, because I don't have internet. I will be looking to do that if you need anything. And look to the comments. Guys, I will obviously clean up comments here for this video. Don't need to know about the new Mandela effect for this video, but I'm sure I won't have to do too much in terms of cleaning up comments. Thanks, Violet. Thanks to everybody that is going to help her out in the comments. And I will keep everybody up to date. Thanks a lot. Hey guys, it's Matt. Attempt number 10. At some point, the emotion has to clear, and I think it's clearing. It cannot linger forever. Let me just get this out. Maybe I'll be able to continue. Violet is gone. I got an email at 7:45 this morning, which I missed. I was up at 5:30 this morning. I went and I did something. I came back. There's no possible way I can read you the email. It was basically something like, I'm about to depart this world. I don't know if I can get this out. Just keep pausing. I'll do it that way. It's better than starting over. Guys, the people, the segment of people here in this community, it was unbelievable people are here. It was a beautiful experience for her. For what I saw, boy, were the incredible, kind souls. I think were separated from the trolls and the monsters. And not that you had to agree that assisted suicide's a good thing. I understand many did not agree, but they did it with respect and with compassion. And I'm not talking about those that just disagreed with the decision. There were many people presented that in a very respectable way to the channel, to me, to Violet. But boy, did this topic really expose the low creatures. You can disagree with the decision, but boy, did the low creatures rise to the top to be seen, as they usually do. They can't hide. This channel's large, but for the most part, the core group here is a very special group of people. There's no question about it. The highest evolution of the spiritual being is here. There's no question about it. The emails I got, Send Violet this note, send her this song. It was, in the comments, I mean, I can tell you she truly appreciated it. I was getting email updates, 15 minutes, not sorry, 15 hours. I got an email until I depart this reality or this existence. Her sister luckily was there with her in Switzerland. I gave her my cell number a while back. She never called me. I mean, again, we'll move on, guys, to other topics. We will talk about assisted suicide a little bit more and put this issue to rest. But I mean, talk about someone to emulate. I got my internet back not late last night, but later, yesterday afternoon, late. And I wasn't trying to like say how happy I was. I was just wanted to let her know that I can communicate again. And she emails, one of the emails that came back was, "I'm glad you got your internet back." Like, who would, with 14 hours left to go, who would start a email with that, thinking of somebody else right to the end? Incredible. Just in a tiny way, I was there with her for the last 6 weeks in a very distant way. Of course, I didn't know her personally, but boy, what an experience. Matt, I thought you said something like only the NPCs cry at funerals, and we cry, but the reasons are completely different, I believe. The reasons, see, I'm not crying because I'm going to miss Violet. I didn't even know her. The beauty of the entire experience is incredible. Now, not that she had to be put to death and the disease, of course, but the way she went about it, the people in this community that cared, the love that flowed. That's why I cry. Okay, I'm better now. We'll see. Let me address just for 2 minutes one part of what I talked about yesterday. I understand there's a segment here that are vehemently opposed to assisted suicide, but one more time to that group, just 2 minutes or less. She had, if she did nothing, she had, I don't know, 3, 4, or 5 more weeks left, maybe less. The loss of function, the loss of brain function, incredible severe pain, brain stabbing pains. I just don't understand those. It's what I said yesterday, so I'll be brief. Don't say it again, Matt. Those that said she needs to stick it out. Why would that possibly be? I said the word judge a few times yesterday, but I wasn't clear on what I was saying. Like a judge, like God, saying, well, you were doing pretty good, but you needed to stick it out. You needed to go through that pain and loss of function, maybe going to the bathroom in your pants, or you needed to do that for 5 weeks. So now there's a judge somewhere, I guess. So now you failed. You're a loser. So, and for those that don't see it as a judge or a God on high, or they might still see what somebody said to me in an email, Matt, I think we're put here, whether it's an element of higher self or oversoul or the aspect of you that's not here, to stick it out. Why? And the email that I went back to that person with was, we're not perfect here in anything we do. And I mean anything. The most pious person has done kind of a gross thing a few times, or a perverted thing a few times, with a magazine or something. The nicest person at some point has screamed at somebody that didn't deserve it. The nicest person in the world has shown hate at least a few days in their life. So in this regard, we need to be absolutely perfect. So suicide is just suicide. It's all the same definition, just broad brush. So the 21-year-old young person whose girlfriend or boyfriend went off with another girl, 21, and some passionate thing just says, I can't live anymore, and throw themselves off a bridge, or they just can't take their job stress or whatever, or the stockbroker that goes out to the train tracks, that's the same as somebody that has 4 weeks to live, that has stabbing pains in the brain, who's losing function. That are you really? It's just the same definition. All suicide's the same. It's all equally bad. Yeah. Need to stick with that disease as you wither away with 5 weeks of basically the worst form of suffering that anybody could possibly imagine. See, we don't have to win, whatever you call the spiritual win. We don't have to be perfect here in anything we do. You know how I know that? because nobody's perfect and somebody wins eventually. So it's maybe a small group, but people do win. Okay. People they do what they need to do here and they move on. Those people were not perfect in any regard. Yet some people were calling for say Violet to be perfect in this. No, you must go to the bathroom in your pants and do whatever would have happened to her over the next 4 to 5 weeks. You must be perfect here, although the reality doesn't call for perfection anywhere else. Does that make any sense? As I've said many times, it's an issue I have with Buddhism. Now, I'm no expert on Buddhism. I've read a few easy-to-read books, a little bit better than Buddhism for Dummies, but not too much more difficult. But if I'm wrong here, let me know. There are Buddhists here, people that studied in Buddhism before they moved on. If I'm wrong about this, let me know. Isn't the standard for a Buddhist, the Buddha itself, the standard to strive for, to get rid of karma? It's an unrealistic standard is put forth. Am I misinterpreting that in Buddhism? An completely unrealistic standard. Everybody on the day of their death as a Buddhist knows they didn't get anywhere near the standard of the Buddha. Therefore, they pile on the karma on themselves, not knowing it's up to them to pile more on or release it. This is my biggest issue with Buddhism. List out every virtue possible that's ever been known. Has anybody achieved a perfect score in any of those virtues every day of their life? Well, of course, no one's even gotten close. One last time. So in terms of sticking it out and, you should have actually lived 4 weeks longer. The judge on high must be saying, oh, you failed. If you would have just done those extra 4 weeks, guess what? There's no judge on high anyway. You know, determines if you win, basically you, or the aspect of you that's not here. As Tony used to say, has the collective pieces and parts of Tony used to say, of the simultaneous incarnation done enough to finally exit the game. There's no judge outside. There's no Simon Cowell with a scorecard or American Idol. I was thinking about, references in a job application. And, it was always the worst part. Like when we submit a resume after graduating Penn State, list 3 references. Like, oh gosh, he's so stupid. List references. And although, can you be my reference and all that? I think, maybe in some way, if that's a stuffed Lennon or a Humpty Dumpty, I have Violet covered there. Because one of the last emails I sent her was, maybe somebody in life, while they're still alive, has to declare an outside reference that you won. You can move on to the highest level. So I said, I'll do that. I got you covered. I'll do it. Why she was still here. I didn't know the exact time until after the last email, but I had a sense. I said, well, I just declared you've won. It doesn't matter what your past has been. If your past has been bad or whatever. This was alluded to in the email. I didn't type these things out. You've atoned already. You've become, somebody to emulate, somebody that almost anybody can emulate in the way you've gone through the last 5 or 6 weeks. I said, if you need a reference, maybe that's part of the game here. I said, well, I've already declared while you're alive, you've won. You move on to the highest level. Of course, I said, I'll do that after you've passed as well, as others have, I'm sure, have helped us out there. Like you've won. You've won. So I did it on the back end and on both ends. And Matt, is that necessary? No, I don't think it's probably not necessary at all. Who knows? This game is so strange. There's so much trickery here. I'm not taking anything for granted. There's so much, the evil element is so evil genius in what it does and how it puts things forth. I'm not taking any chances. We need to do just general affirmations to help each other. Just who knows? Do I think this stuff's necessary? No. It's getting a little strange, but I was thinking, why take any chances? I'll affirm while you're still alive, you've won, and after you've gone, you've won. And is that necessary? Probably not. 99% it's not necessary. But why not? I wasn't exhausted for the rest of the day after I did that for Violet. I would hope people would do that for me or have somebody do that for you. Who knows? Who the heck knows? When I have to leave the DMV driver center, look down at a damn name and say, that's not me. This reality is evil genius, and it's the son of a bitch in how it plays a trick. I'm not taking any chances. That didn't come out really clearly, so just one more minute to reiterate. When you leave the DMV driver center, the name in all caps, the legal fiction, the straw man, or any government records center, or even the way that your name's on a credit card or whatever, 99% plus whatever, close to 99.9 with the decimal and the nines going in who knows how many spaces. How many people that ever lived understand that that name is not them? It's the straw man, the legal fiction. How many people would laugh at us over time for even proposing that this is how this reality plays a trick through a legal fiction? I mean, how devious, how degenerate the workings of this reality are to facilitate the trick. I will take nothing for granted. I will cover all bases. Yeah, man, but by covering all bases, you're basically saying that it's not up to you. I understand the dilemma here, and I think I have some time to work through it. Matt, if you have to get Juan over here, I know he lives in Miami, to do the affirmation that you go to the highest level while you're still alive, then you have to get half your channel to do it after you're dead, Matt, or else you can't get that. It's implying you don't have the ability to do it yourself. I hear you. I believe deep down we have the ability to do it ourselves. Tony would say, this is crazy. Higher self's in control of everything. Your own higher self. You don't need Juan in Miami to say, Matt, you go to the highest level. But who knows? I think if Juan does that for me, I don't think it hurts. I think, it's positive energies. That's what I was trying to give. I said to Violet every time, I said, you don't need this. You don't need me to do this. You've already won, but I'm going to do it. Can't hurt. So I hear you. One kind of implies we don't have the power to do it ourselves. And Matt, if you even put that forth, you're taking power away from your ability to do it yourself. Okay, I'm in a little loop here. We'll work through it as we work through most things. This has been an interesting remedy, just getting kind of worked up and kind of pissed off. The sad emotion is kind of suppressed. So I can talk about this issue. Well, Matt, the NPCs cry for different reasons, I think. For different reasons. I got choked up only today knowing she was gone, only when I'm doing this video. It all came up thinking the emails that I sent and the love everybody showed and some of her last emails, got real choked up, had to record over. I was much worse last night. The funeral in the big church or whatever was after the fact, and the NPCs cry. And I was a mess last night thinking about the situation, how incredible, how hardcore, also with the tremendous love that poured out of everybody. And some people will send me little things around Christmas, and I'll just say to Eva, sends me little wrapped gifts. It's the only gifts that I unwrap at Christmas. I called her once. I just cried my eyes out, not because Eva's going to go away, or just the pure love of the pure the non-selfishness of the people here, the incredible nature of some of the people here brings tears to my eyes. That's what I was thinking about, but also how hardcore difficult. Nothing in existence, in the history of existence, in this material plane, is as difficult, whether you agree with it or not, as to what she went through. Knowing the exact day and time of your end. Okay, yeah, she showed incredible courage. I never detected any fear at all in the emails. It was incredible. Yet everybody has a little bit, of course. That's part of this experience. If you didn't have any, something would be wrong. I mean, that's a necessary part of this experience. But to know the day and the time, nothing in existence it requires that much courage. Even people that are sick and have but they go day by day and then they die. Okay, they know they're going to die soon, but they don't know exactly when. There's a difference, an absolute difference. They might say, I don't think I'm going to make it for another. But then there's always that, I'll probably wake up in the morning. It does not take the same courage as knowing the day and the time. I don't know how many of us could do it. I mean, there is nothing in terms of courage that compares to that. The trolls will latch on to this. Matt, you're glorifying. It sounds like you're glorifying assisted suicide. Right? I don't even know how to respond to that. That idiocracy, that I don't even know what to say back to that. I know it'll come, but I'm not going to even waste time justifying that. No, I don't think healthy people should go. I mean, what a bunch of morons float in and out of this channel from time to time. So when we talk about the NPCs crying at the funeral and some of the strange reasons I don't even think they're consciously aware of, because they don't want to be in that person's situation. They don't want to ever leave this world. They're in love with this world, or they're safe over here, and they truly feel the person's screwed, but they don't feel it ever happened to them. They don't see that what's happened to the person will happen to them. So that person in the casket's screwed. Real people cry for different reasons. The love, the incredible nature of the experience, the incredible courage that was demonstrated, that is what brings tears to my eyes. Not what the typically. I think there is a difference between when I cry, or you might cry, and the NPC cries at a funeral. Some of which cry because that's the automated response and the script and the download that's called for. Guys, one quick thing that I have to stop doing is throwing around the term NPC too quickly, too loosely. It still may exist, of course, but there are a lot of real people here, the same spiritual makeup as you and me, and but they're acting like the NPC if the NPC exists. They're in love with the world. They're in love with getting closer to its sick culture that it's put out. These people want to get closer to its frequency. They love the radio station. So when I just say NPC, I mean, how many real people are acting like the NPC? And the point is, then does it matter? If there's 50 people in a room, how many are NPCs and how many are real like you and me and people listening to this, but on the download, so they act like the NPC and do whatever this thing called the not milk wants. It doesn't matter. If you're on the frequency, it doesn't matter. So I need a new name, and just talk about the NPC. A true NPC implies that its soul is not the same as you. It's something that may never have a chance to get out of here, or a soul that's derived locally or something. It does not have the same possible bridge out. It's kind of doomed. I mean, that may exist, it may not. Tony absolutely believed that classification exists. But we need a catch-all term, because how many of your best friends love to sit down and watch the evening news? They could be as real as you. This is not a great term. I just thought of it. I'm re-recording this segment. An automatonic cipher. Okay, that's not great, but who knows if it'll stick. Cypher in the Matrix, he wanted back in badly. Matrix 1, right? It was that Guido, the killer pimp from Risky Business. He just wanted his old life, and he says, and I want to be rich, and I want to forget everything. I want to forget being on Morpheus' ship, and I want to be famous. You put me back in that pod. You put me back in that Matrix. So a lot of real people, not that they're trying to get back in the Matrix, but they're trying to get even closer to it. They want more presence on social media. They're acting like Cypher. Their automatonic implies a download or a frequency. So it could be better. For now, it's an automatonic cipher, not deciphering, but decipher the character from the Matrix. So if somebody could be an NPC or a real person that has every chance to succeed, that you do, that I do, but we're just cozying up to Facebook every day. That's an automatonic cipher. And in terms of how we interact with groups of people, it doesn't matter. If they're an automatonic cipher, we know how they're going to react. We know how they're going to react if we try to tell them something. We know how they're going to react to a news headline. It doesn't really matter if they're a real spiritual being or not. So in this, what might be the final section, guys, I want to give you my personal opinion on suicide, assisted suicide, everything that, I just, in a way, got close to something I'd never experienced before, and give you my final take. First off, there is no people that, let's say they reacted a certain way in the comments. I think the biggest mistake they make, among many, is broad brushing it. We talked about it a few minutes back. The 21-year-old who lost the girlfriend, suicide, is that the same as somebody that's going to suffer for 4 weeks and only has 4 or 5 weeks left? So from whether it be the perspective of their higher self or of God, or that's the same, really? Okay, don't do the same thing over. I need to stress that again. Obviously, broad brushing it is really ignorant. It's not the same. So if, Tony talked about higher self having the simultaneous incarnations and doing enough to exit the material plane, doing enough, at least the incarnation's doing enough to get everybody out. Okay, we've done enough of this. No more material plane. Okay. It was like a reincarnation to a degree, what Tony talked about, but like a self-imposed, not karma or anything. That the higher self going, we haven't done what we need to do here. We haven't learned all that we need to learn here. So, if in Violet's situation with, whatever, a few weeks of suffering left, I don't think a God on a throne is going to say, you needed to really stick it out. I don't think a higher self is going to say, well, we didn't learn anything. If you would have just suffered and pooped your pants for 3 more weeks, we would have learned something, but you took the easy way. I don't think so. And again, I'm just kind of repeating the thing, but how do I know that? Because we are not perfect in anything we do here. Even the best person that's ever existed in any one category is not perfect. So Violet going through the many months of suffering. It's not like she started suffering last Wednesday. She's already been through many months and this and that and all. That's not enough, huh? That's not enough. The God on the throne is going to say, you didn't do it. You didn't go far enough. Really? Well, what? Show me a human that's gone far enough in any regard. This person exhibits a lot of love, but I bet they've shown hate a few times. And okay, we don't need to revisit the same thing. I don't understand those that broad brush it. All suicide's the same. Okay, whatever. If it violates your religious beliefs and tenets and it's strictly in the Bible, okay, then I hear you. I hear you. That's falling back on a religious structure or tenet or belief system that those people believe is much larger than themselves. I understand that. Many people showed respect while disagreeing. Okay, but there's a segment. There's that 10% that really, and then there's that little tiny percentage of the troll nature just came up and they, showed their true selves, like a vampire movie or like a werewolf movie when the moon pops out and they show their true selves. That happened again in any sort of video where it's about pure love and the real beautiful beings rise to the top, even if they don't agree with their compassion. It's yin yang, right? When that brings the best qualities of people out, the worst people show their fangs. It happens every time. We should do more of this. Bring those trolls out and kick them out of here for good. Thanks for listening, and thanks to everybody with their well wishes. And I 100% assure you, 100% that Violet appreciated the last month I've mentioned her a few times starting about a month ago, and she appreciated every bit of it, every bit of advice. Joe in Mexico sent her a long email. He has past life memories, and all sorts of people helped out. She appreciated every bit of it. And the most important thing I did was remove nasty troll comments so she couldn't see them. But it was just another opportunity to get rid of the trolls, which I always appreciate. Thank you, everybody. And, another big storm tonight. I was going to say, I'll see you tomorrow. Saturday, we'll do something completely different. Another big, it's basically what happened on Tuesday. I tried to go to Target this morning, had to turn around, drive home. The roads closed, power lines down. Okay, 2 hours later, I'll go to Aldi and get whatever I like to get there. I haven't been in the Aldi for a month, food store, whatever. The different direction down the road. Go out, go left, down towards Route 401. Completely closed. I couldn't leave the house. I'm going to try when I load this to go get some food or something. Both directions completely closed off. Now, most of the area around Philadelphia is not like this. We were decimated up here. I don't know, we had straight line winds. I started filming some of it, but I got to walk all the way up and down this road. I didn't get much. Maybe I'll show you the one clip. But the round two of it's the same kind of storm, but less intensity, they said. Still up to 45-mile-an-hour winds tonight. And, so if you don't hear from me, either way, I probably could, I don't know, take a computer out somewhere, plug in and get Rob the Sunday free voice. But if you don't hear from me tomorrow, it's because, again, I've lost internet. I've lost electricity. Here we go again. Thanks, guys.